Welcome to Daily English Stories. Join me on this exciting journey as we use the power of storytelling to unlock your English proficiency. When I landed in London, it was like walking into a whole new adventure. The airport was bustling with people from all over the world, and the air was filled with the sound of different languages. It felt a bit overwhelming, but also incredibly exciting. As I left the airport and entered the city, I couldn't help but notice those classic red double-decker buses and those cool black cabs you always see in movies. They were everywhere. It made me feel like I was part of a postcard. After checking into my hotel, which was right in the middle of the city, I met the friendliest hotel staff. They handed me a map and shared some tips on where to go and what to do. I felt like I had my own little support team. With the map in hand, I set off to explore. Right away, I was blown away by the buildings. London has this incredible mix of old historic ones and shiny new skyscrapers. I couldn't stop taking pictures of everything. My first stop was Trafalgar Square. It was like something out of a history book. There were these massive lion statues and a tall column with a guy named Admiral Nelson at the top. People were just hanging out on the steps, enjoying the sun and the view. Next up was Covent Garden. It was this lively place with street performers doing all sorts of tricks. I got caught up in the crowd, watching a magician do some mind-boggling stuff. By the end of that first day, I was head over heels in love with London. The mix of cultures, the cool buildings, and the friendly vibe had totally won me over. Little did I know that even more exciting adventures were waiting for me during my visit to this amazing city. One of the most unforgettable parts of my trip to London was getting to see all those famous places I'd only seen in pictures and movies before. So, my friend Sally and I decided to start with Buckingham Palace. You know, the Queen's house. We got there just in time for the changing of the guard ceremony. It was a bit crowded, but we managed to squeeze in and watch the guards in their fancy red uniforms and big black hats doing their thing. It was a real treat. Then we headed to Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament. I mean, you can't visit London and not see Big Ben, right? It was even more impressive up close. We took some selfies with it, of course. The London Eye was next on our list, that giant Ferris wheel by the River Thames. We hopped in one of those big glass capsules and slowly went up, up, up. The view from the top was breathtaking. We could see the whole city stretching out below us, and it felt like we were on top of the world. But you know what was really fascinating? The British Museum. It's this huge place with treasures from all over the world. We saw the Egyptian mummies, the Rosetta Stone, and so many other ancient artifacts. It was like taking a trip through time. And then there was the Tower of London. We got to see the crown jewels, with all those sparkly diamonds and shiny gold things. It was like being in a fairy tale. But you know, London isn't just about the famous stuff. It's also about the little things, like the red phone booths you see on the streets, or those black cabs whizzing by, and the street performers in Covent Garden doing magic tricks and making people laugh. Every corner we turned, there was something new to discover. It was like stepping into a storybook, and Sally and I couldn't wait to see what else London had in store for us. One of the coolest things about my trip to London was all the interesting and fun stuff related to its culture. Let me tell you about it. So there's this place called the British Museum, and it's like a treasure trove of history from all over the world. Imagine walking into a giant library of ancient stuff. We saw mummies from Egypt, and it was a little spooky but super cool. Then there was the Rosetta Stone, which helped people understand hieroglyphs. It's like a puzzle piece in the story of languages. Now, London is famous for its theaters, and I couldn't miss out on that. Sally and I went to see a play at the West End, which is like London's Broadway. The actors were incredible, and the whole experience felt like a roller coaster of emotions. We laughed, we cried, and we applauded like crazy when it was over. And speaking of emotions, there's this place called the Tate Modern, where we saw modern art that made us think, is this really art? But that's the thing about art. It can make you feel and wonder about stuff in unexpected ways. Now let's talk about something delicious. Fish and chips. We had them at a local pub, and it was a real taste of British cuisine. The fish was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, and the chips, which are basically thick fries, were so yummy. We even added a bit of malt vinegar, just like the locals do. Afternoon tea was another treat. Picture this: a pot of hot tea, little sandwiches, scones with clotted cream and jam, and pastries. It's a British tradition, and it felt so fancy to sip tea with my pinky finger up. But London isn't all about history and food. It's about meeting people, too. We talked to friendly locals who shared stories about their city. They told us about their favorite places to hang out and gave us tips on where to find the best street food. And let's not forget the pub experience. We went to a cozy, old-fashioned pub, and it was like stepping into a Harry Potter movie. We tried traditional English beers and mingled with the locals. It felt like we were part of the neighborhood. Every cultural experience in London was like opening a new chapter in a big book of adventures. It made me appreciate the city's history, art, and food even more, and I couldn't wait to see what other cultural surprises London had in store for us. All right, let me tell you about one of the most exciting parts of my London trip: the food. London isn't just about fish and chips, though that was amazing. There's a whole world of deliciousness waiting to be explored. Now, when we talk about classic British food, the first thing that comes to mind is a hearty English breakfast. Imagine waking up to a plate piled high with eggs, bacon, sausages, baked beans, grilled tomatoes, and toast. It's a breakfast fit for a king. And trust me, it's the kind of meal that keeps you going all day. But London is also a melting pot of different cultures, and that's reflected in its food scene. We decided to try some Indian cuisine at a local restaurant. Curry, naan bread, and samosas were on the menu. The flavors were like a party in my mouth: spicy, savory, and absolutely delicious. We even ordered some mango lassi to cool down our taste buds. Now here's the thing about London: you can find food from all over the world. We had some mouth-watering Chinese dumplings in Chinatown and indulged in mouth-watering Italian pizza at a cozy little pizzeria. It was like a culinary trip around the globe. And then there's the street food scene. Imagine wandering through a bustling market with food stalls everywhere. We tried everything from gourmet burgers to fresh crepes filled with Nutella. The best part: you get to eat with your hands, which makes everything taste even better. Oh, and I can't forget about the traditional English pies. We found this charming little pie shop and tried their steak and ale pie. It was like a warm, comforting hug in pastry form. Now let's talk about afternoon tea, to be precise. We went to a charming tea room where they served us a pot of hot tea with a tower of goodies. There were dainty sandwiches, warm scones with clotted cream and jam, and tiny pastries that looked almost too pretty to eat. But trust me, we devoured every crumb. Of course, we couldn't leave London without trying some street food classics. We lined up at a food cart for a serving of fish and chips. The fish was crispy, the chips were golden, and we couldn't resist adding a splash of malt vinegar, just like the locals do. And you know what's great about eating in London? You're never too far from a cozy pub. We visited a classic British pub, where we enjoyed some traditional dishes like shepherd's pie and bangers and mash. The atmosphere was friendly, and we chatted with locals over a pint of ale. So, if you ever find yourself in London, don't just stick to the familiar. Explore the culinary delights the city has to offer. From English breakfast to international cuisine and street food adventures, your taste buds are in for a treat. It's a foodie's paradise, and every bite tells a delicious story of London's diverse flavors. Now let me tell you about one of the most exciting parts of my London adventure: exploring the vibrant markets. It felt like stepping into a treasure trove of unique finds and local delights. Our first stop was Camden Market, and let me tell you, it's like no other place on earth. The moment we stepped in, we were surrounded by stalls selling everything from vintage clothing to handmade jewelry. The atmosphere was electric, with street performers adding to the buzz. We spent hours browsing through the eclectic mix of goods, and I couldn't resist picking up a retro vinyl record and a quirky, hand-painted tote bag as souvenirs. Then there was Borough Market, a food lover's dream come true. It's a foodie paradise filled with stalls selling gourmet delights from around the world. We sampled artisanal cheeses, fresh-baked bread, and mouth-watering pastries. The aroma of sizzling street food wafted through the air, making our taste buds dance with anticipation. We couldn't resist trying some gourmet burgers and sipping on freshly squeezed fruit juices. It was like a culinary journey in one spot. Covent Garden Market was another gem. It's not just a market, it's also a place for street performances and live entertainment. We watched talented musicians, jugglers, and magicians while sipping on coffee from one of the charming cafes. And of course, we couldn't resist picking up some handmade crafts as unique gifts for our friends back home. If you're a bookworm like me, you'd love exploring the South Bank Center Book Market. Rows and rows of second-hand books, from classics to hidden gems, were waiting to be discovered. We spent a leisurely afternoon flipping through pages and chatting with friendly booksellers who shared their love for literature. But the highlight of our market adventures was Portobello Road Market. It's a colorful kaleidoscope of antiques, vintage fashion, and bric-a-brac. We strolled through the charming streets, admiring the unique finds on display. I couldn't resist picking up a vintage camera that would make the perfect addition to my collection. And you know what made these market visits even more special? The friendly and passionate vendors who shared stories about their products and offered helpful recommendations. It felt like we were welcomed into a community of traders who genuinely cared about what they were selling. So, if you ever find yourself in London, make sure to explore its vibrant markets. It's not just about shopping, it's about immersing yourself in the culture, discovering hidden gems, and connecting with the friendly people who make these markets come alive. It's a shopper's paradise and a unique way to experience the heart and soul of this incredible city. One of the most heartwarming aspects of my London journey was the people I met along the way. Londoners may have a reputation for being reserved, but I found them to be incredibly warm and friendly. Let me share some of the memorable encounters that made our trip even more special. First, there was our Airbnb host, Mr. Harris. He welcomed us into his charming flat in Notting Hill with a big smile. Mr. Harris was like our unofficial tour guide, sharing insider tips on where to find the best local food and hidden gems in the neighborhood. Then there were the fellow tourists we met while waiting in line at Buckingham Palace. We struck up conversations with people from different parts of the world. We shared stories about our travels, exchanged recommendations on must-visit places, and even took group photos for each other. It was like a mini United Nations right there. Our visit to a traditional British pub turned into a delightful evening of laughter and camaraderie. We chatted with the locals sitting at the bar, learned about their favorite football teams, and even joined in a lively pub quiz. We didn't win, but we left with new friends and memories of genuine British hospitality. One sunny afternoon in Hyde Park, we couldn't resist joining a group of locals engaged in a friendly game of frisbee. They welcomed us with open arms, taught us some tricks, and we ended up spending hours laughing and running around like kids. It was a reminder that fun knows no borders. And then there was the kind street performer in Covent Garden who not only amazed us with his magic tricks, but also took the time to chat with us afterward. He shared stories about his passion for entertaining people from all over the world and the challenges he faced. It was a moment that reminded us of the human connections that make travel so enriching. The best part? Our interactions with these friendly locals weren't limited to small talk. We exchanged contact information, promised to keep in touch, and even received invitations to visit them in their respective countries. It was like expanding our global family. London may be a bustling metropolis, but it's the people who make it feel like a close-knit community. Our encounters with these wonderful individuals added a layer of warmth and connection to our London adventure, proving that no matter where you go, a friendly smile and a willingness to connect can turn strangers into friends. It's a lesson in the beauty of human connections that I'll carry with me wherever I travel next. Let me take you on a journey through Hyde Park, one of London's most beloved green spaces. It was a day of relaxation, outdoor adventures, and connecting with nature in the heart of a bustling city. As we entered the park, the first thing that struck us was the sheer size of it. Hyde Park is huge, like a sprawling natural playground for city dwellers and tourists alike, but it felt like an oasis of tranquility amid the urban chaos. We started our day with a leisurely stroll along the Serpentine Lake. The sun was shining, and the water glistened as swans gracefully glided by. It was a picture-perfect moment, and we couldn't help but snap a few photos. We even spotted families enjoying paddle boats, and it looked like so much fun that we decided to give it a try later. Our next stop was the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fountain. It's a stunning, circular fountain made of flowing water. We dipped our hands in the cool, clear water and felt a sense of serenity wash over us. The memorial's design, inspired by the life of Princess Diana, felt like a tribute to her spirit of compassion and love for nature. Now let's talk about the wildlife. Hyde Park is home to a variety of birds and squirrels, and they're not shy at all. We bought a bag of birdseed from a nearby vendor and had a blast feeding the fearless pigeons and cheeky squirrels. It was like having a mini Disney moment in the park. Feeling a bit more adventurous, we rented paddle boats and ventured out onto the Serpentine Lake. The feeling of paddling under the bright London sky, surrounded by the park's lush greenery, was pure bliss. We shared laughs, took turns steering, and even had a friendly race with another couple. Spoiler alert. We didn't win, but we didn't mind one bit. Lunchtime brought us to one of the park's charming cafes. We enjoyed classic British sandwiches, fresh salads, and of course some tea. Sitting on the cafe's terrace, watching families, joggers, and picnickers, it felt like we were part of a joyful tapestry of life. As the afternoon sun mellowed, we decided to join a friendly game of frisbee with a group of locals. It was an impromptu gathering of strangers turned friends. We laughed, chased the frisbee, and even attempted a few impressive catches, and some not-so-impressive ones. It was a simple reminder that sometimes the best moments are unplanned. We wrapped up our day by finding a quiet spot under a tree. The gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant sound of children playing, and the feeling of grass beneath us created the perfect atmosphere for a peaceful moment of reflection. We talked about our favorite parts of the park, our new friends, and how a day in nature can recharge the soul. Hyde Park was more than just a green space. It was a sanctuary of calm and a place to connect with the beauty of the natural world. It reminded us that even in the midst of a bustling city, there's always room for a little tranquility and a lot of joy in the great outdoors. Prepare your taste buds for a mouth-watering journey through London's diverse culinary scene. Our exploration of the city's food offerings was a feast for the senses, and it left us with unforgettable memories and satisfied appetites. Our first stop was a traditional British pub. It had all the cozy charm we had imagined, with wooden beams, dim lighting, and a friendly atmosphere. We eagerly delved into a plate of fish and chips, a quintessential British dish. The crispy golden batter, flaky fish, and a side of mushy peas were a delightful introduction to British comfort food. We couldn't resist ordering a pint of ale to complete the experience, and we toasted to our culinary adventure. One morning, we ventured to a local cafe for a classic English breakfast. It arrived on our plates like a hearty masterpiece: eggs, bacon, sausages, baked beans, grilled tomatoes, and toast. The savory and slightly indulgent meal was the perfect fuel for a day of exploration. We washed it down with cups of strong, aromatic English breakfast tea, just the way the locals enjoy it. For lunch, we decided to immerse ourselves in London's multicultural culinary tapestry. We headed to Brick Lane, known for its vibrant street art and diverse food scene. Our senses were immediately overwhelmed by the aroma of spices and the colorful displays of dishes from around the world. We settled on trying a delicious serving of chicken tikka masala from a bustling Indian restaurant. The tender chicken, creamy tomato sauce, and fragrant spices danced on our palates, and we couldn't help but order some naan bread to savor every last drop of sauce. Chinatown was our next culinary destination. The bustling streets were lined with restaurants offering an array of Chinese, Thai, and Malaysian cuisines. We chose a cozy dim sum restaurant where we indulged in delicate dumplings, savory buns, and steamed treats. It was a communal dining experience where we shared plates and savored each bite, feeling like we were part of a larger family gathering. One evening, we decided to explore the street food scene at Borough Market. Stalls offered an enticing array of international flavors, from Spanish paella to Middle Eastern falafel wraps. We couldn't resist trying a gourmet burger made with locally sourced ingredients. Each juicy bite was a burst of flavor, and we savored it while soaking in the lively market atmosphere. Our culinary adventure wasn't limited to savory dishes. We also indulged our sweet tooth. We visited a traditional British bakery and indulged in freshly baked scones with clotted cream and strawberry jam. The balance of buttery scone, rich cream, and sweet jam was a delightful treat for our taste buds. But perhaps the most unique culinary experience was our visit to a quirky dessert cafe that specialized in extravagant milkshakes. We marveled at towering shakes adorned with everything from cookies to cotton candy. It was a dessert lover's dream come true, and we couldn't resist sharing one, complete with whipped cream and a rainbow of sprinkles. Our culinary journey through London was not just about satisfying our appetites. It was a way to connect with the city's rich cultural diversity and the warmth of its people. We discovered that food has a unique way of bringing people together, transcending language barriers, and creating lasting memories. Each dish we tried was a chapter in our London story, and it left us with a deeper appreciation for the city's flavors and the joy of sharing a meal with loved ones. Our journey through London's cultural landscape was like stepping into a treasure trove of human creativity. From world-famous museums to hidden art galleries, we immersed ourselves in a world of artistic wonder that left us inspired and awestruck. Our first stop was the iconic British Museum. As we entered its grand halls, we were greeted by the sight of ancient artifacts from civilizations long gone. The Egyptian mummies, the Rosetta Stone, and the Elgin marbles all had stories to tell. It felt like a time-traveling adventure, and we marveled at the ingenuity and craftsmanship of people who lived centuries ago. Next, we ventured to the Tate Modern, a modern art museum housed in a converted power station. The sheer diversity of contemporary art on display was mind-boggling. We encountered abstract paintings that seemed to defy gravity, immersive installations that played with our senses, and thought-provoking sculptures that challenged our perceptions of the world. It was a reminder that art knows no boundaries, and each piece spoke to us in its own unique language. One rainy afternoon led us to the National Gallery, where we sought refuge from the weather and found ourselves surrounded by masterpieces. The works of Van Gogh, Da Vinci, and Monet came to life before our eyes. We sat in front of Starry Night over the Rhone and felt the calm of the night wash over us. It was as if we could step into the canvas and become part of the art itself. But our artistic exploration didn't end with the famous institutions. We stumbled upon charming independent galleries tucked away in London's neighborhoods. These hidden gems showcased the works of local artists, each piece telling a personal story. We had the pleasure of meeting some of the artists themselves, hearing about their creative processes, and gaining a deeper understanding of their artistry. One gallery owner, Mrs. Turner, shared her passion for supporting emerging artists. She introduced us to a young painter whose vibrant, abstract canvases left a lasting impression. It was heartwarming to see the art community's dedication to nurturing talent and providing a platform for expression. One evening, we attended a live performance at the Royal Opera House. The opera singers' powerful voices filled the majestic theater, and the ballet dancers' graceful movements transported us to another realm. The fusion of music, dance, and storytelling left us profoundly moved and reminded us of the profound impact of the performing arts. Our journey through London's artistic wonderland was a testament to the power of human creativity. We discovered that art has the remarkable ability to transcend time, culture, and language. Each museum visit, gallery exploration, and cultural performance enriched our souls and deepened our appreciation for the boundless beauty of human expression. It was a reminder that in the world of art, there's always something new to discover, and the journey is just as rewarding as the destination. London's vibrant markets offered us a unique and colorful shopping adventure that was as diverse as the city itself. From vintage treasures to international cuisine, we explored the bustling stalls and discovered hidden gems while immersing ourselves in the lively atmosphere. Our market journey began at Portobello Road Market in Notting Hill. It was a kaleidoscope of colors, with rows of quaint houses and stalls stretching as far as the eye could see. We couldn't resist sifting through racks of vintage clothing, hoping to find a piece of fashion history. The market's antique section was a treasure trove of old books, furniture, and quirky collectibles. We left with a vintage camera that still worked like a charm, a unique addition to our travel memories. Another day led us to Borough Market, a food lover's paradise tucked beneath the railway arches. The aroma of freshly baked bread, exotic spices, and artisanal cheeses filled the air. We indulged in gourmet samples and picked up local delicacies, including a wheel of creamy Stilton cheese that we enjoyed with a baguette by the Thames. It was a reminder of how food can be a bridge to culture and community. Spitalfields Market was a feast for the senses. The eclectic mix of clothing, jewelry, and handmade crafts showcased London's creative spirit. We struck up conversations with the artists and artisans behind the stalls, learning about their inspirations and the stories behind their creations. We left with handmade pottery and unique handcrafted jewelry, each piece carrying a part of the artist's passion. Camden Market was a different world altogether. The vibrant energy, alternative fashion, and street art made us feel like we were stepping into London's counterculture scene. We explored the labyrinthine stalls, discovering everything from retro clothing to punk-inspired artwork. We even stumbled upon a street performance that had us dancing to the beat of a live drum ensemble. One of the most charming finds was Columbia Road Flower Market, where the narrow street was transformed into a riot of colors with stalls overflowing with blooms. We couldn't resist buying a bouquet of fresh flowers to brighten up our temporary London home. It was a reminder of the simple joys that beauty in nature can bring. We wrapped up our market adventures with a visit to Camden Lock Market, where global flavors met artisan crafts. We savored dishes from around the world, from Japanese street food to Mexican tacos, and indulged in handmade chocolates from a local chocolatier. It was a culinary journey in a single market square. Our shopping adventure in London's markets wasn't just about acquiring things. It was about immersing ourselves in the city's vibrant culture and connecting with its people. We learned that each market had its own unique character and offered a glimpse into the diverse tapestry of London life. As we carried our market finds home, we also carried the stories and experiences of the vibrant markets that had become a cherished part of our London adventure. Amidst the bustling cityscape of London, we found solace and tranquility in its beautiful parks and green spaces. These natural sanctuaries provided us with a breath of fresh air, a chance to unwind, and an opportunity to connect with nature. One of our favorite escapes was Hyde Park, an expansive oasis in the heart of London. As we strolled along the serene Serpentine Lake, we watched as locals and tourists alike rode on the water or simply relaxed by its banks. The park's paths were perfect for leisurely walks or bike rides, and we often found ourselves picnicking on the lush green lawns. It was here that we truly understood the phrase, "a park for everyone." Regent's Park was another gem we explored. Its meticulously landscaped gardens were a haven for flower enthusiasts, and we were greeted by a riot of colors as we wandered through the Queen Mary's Rose Garden. We also had the chance to visit London Zoo, located within the park's boundaries, where we marveled at exotic animals from around the world. A short journey brought us to Kew Gardens, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew were a botanical wonderland. We ventured through glasshouses filled with tropical plants and marveled at towering trees in the arboretum. Our visit to the Palm House was particularly memorable, as we stepped into a lush tropical rainforest, complete with waterfalls and exotic flora. Greenwich Park offered not only natural beauty, but also historical significance. We explored the Royal Observatory, stood on the Prime Meridian, and gazed at the city's skyline from the park's elevated vantage point. It was a unique blend of scientific exploration and natural wonder. A lesser-known gem was Hampstead Heath, a vast expanse of heathland and woodland in North London. We wandered through ancient forests, took a dip in the natural swimming ponds, and climbed Parliament Hill for panoramic views of the city. It was a reminder that London's green spaces were as diverse as the city itself. Our adventures in London's parks weren't just about nature, they were also about people. We watched families enjoying picnics, children flying kites, and friends playing frisbee. We struck up conversations with fellow parkgoers, sharing stories and laughter. These green spaces served as communal meeting points, where people from all walks of life came together to savor the outdoors. Whether it was watching swans glide gracefully on the Serpentine, smelling the fragrant roses in Regent's Park, or simply lying on a blanket under the sun, London's parks provided us with moments of serenity and a reminder of the beauty of the natural world. In these green havens, we found a respite from the city's hustle and bustle, a chance to recharge our spirits, and an enduring love for London's green heart.